see what we got here. There's nothing really to speak of because we have basically an empty Monday and Tuesday economic calendar. Later we have the ICT-PDA number, so they're face rippers. We have a bit of a premium gap opening here. So that's where we're at here with that. Just going to use the fib here to make it a little easier. And the open up here. And add these back on. Alright, so the gap is way down here. These two levels here I did a little bit of needling on social media last night. So we have the weekly inversion fair value gap in here. I'm allowing it to try to reach for that. See if we can get up in there and tap into that and see if they'll let it run a little bit lower after that into the gap. Got to a 15-minute time frame. Notice that the bottom of that weekly inversion fair value gap here also has that little tiny separation between that candle's low, this candle's high. So that is a SIBI. So you want to have that annotated on your chart. There, we're just hitting it now. I very much prefer hitting the weekly inversion fair value gap before selling off. Otherwise, I'd have to let it have another chance to run there. Not chasing anything. Did you have fun this weekend? I did. Alright, so here's a 1 minute chart. We have not had any first presentation fair value gap yet. There is one obviously on that 15-second chart. That's right here. So I'm going to annotate that. I'm going to keep off my chart now because there's already too much stuff on the chart I'm not liking. This is all stuff from me needling Twitter last night. Hopefully I've inspired a bunch of you live streamers out here, or those that don't live stream, to come out here and play in the sandbox with us. Okay, small one right in here. Small fair value gap. I have a chance to sleep in today, actually. I'm trying to get some rest for tonight's London live stream, so I promised the Forex gang that we would look at some London stuff. I'll look at futures too during the London session. It's not just Forex, but I promise I'll bring in some of that insight into this mentorship. We're only going to go till 10:30 this morning. I have to take care of something at the bank. Some fraudulent activity. Check your bank statements, folks. If you see somebody going in, giving you like 36 cents or 17 cents, and then taking it back out, that's them testing to see if money can come in or not. Because somebody just took $7,000 of money that they don't have ownership of. That's okay. Alright, so I want to see it run up into that weekly inversion fair value gap in that orange shaded area. That would also be another run above these highs in here. It's a little too blocky in here, too consolidated. You notice a 15-second chart. You want to see some kind of disruption to the upside. That's actually not the right price. It should be there. So a little lackluster so far this morning. Nothing terribly exciting for the opening range. Opening range is between 9:30 and 10 o'clock Eastern time. And the opening range gap is previous day settlement. That's a close here to open. The very first print at 9:30. So when you have your account calendar with the PPI CPI number, and all you have to do is go to forexfactory.com or Econoday calendar or any other decent calendar. They'll show that those reports are this week, Wednesday and Thursday. And then there's an absence of any real news drivers on Monday and Tuesday. You want to try to find your trades. If you're going to try to trade and avoid all of the huge volatility that is introduced by those reports, you simply just trade on Monday and Tuesday of this week. Not to say you can't trade post PPI CPI number, because I certainly will be. All right, you just touch the bottom of that inverted fair value gap. Again, that's this up here. Okay. Nice little reaction so far. That's probably random. I'm just going to show the mid gap and have a little bit more real estate in the size of these candles shown. Again, mid gap is here for the opening range gap. Watching the breaker here on the 1 minute chart. We have short-term high, higher high. This down close candle. I'm watching how we behave and print around that. I'm going to apologize in advance because we're entering the time of year where I have fall allergies. And it's unfortunate I can't do anything about it because I'm not taking medicines, but the clearing my throat unfortunately might be a little bit distracting for some of you. You'll get on my nerves. I don't know if I was listening to someone else sound like that. Just don't leave the comments because I'll just bring you. I don't want to see your comment again. You just say it one time. You say anything one time. See how flat price is right now? Yes, it went up to a level we were looking for, anticipating, but it's just like not trying to do much. Even 15-second. We're inside the city here. Fair short block. Not enough energy to the downside to get me interested yet. Meaning, like that? What do you mean by that? The short-term low here, the wicks came down and we had 2 of them. So it's not something that has me all that terribly excited. Meaning we could see one more punch into this high a little bit higher than that. And we'll have to see what the delivery is after that. Just relax. There's plenty of setups this week coming. Plenty of them. No need to rush out the gate to get the first one that comes in the first 10 to 20 minutes. Not on Monday. Not the week like we're getting ready to see. I'll see all kinds of movement. You come out here and you waste your ammo and your mental fortitude on less than optimal conditions. It just makes it harder for you to be in when markets are really giving out for free. I mean, I shouldn't say for free, but a lot more easier price delivery. A lot more fluctuations in prices you can work out again. And this chart over here is a 15-second chart. Here. And a 1-minute chart on the right. Got a lot of comments from the annotation markups I'm teaching my son to do. And of course I have a few other ones that are saying things like, this is tedious, it's not necessary. Well, I mean, if you're already profitable, you know what you're doing, then by all means do what you gotta do. But for people that don't have a reprice action, probably don't you say the ones that say that they don't generally probably aren't as precise or consistent as they would pretend they are on social media. But the way you get better at it and learn how to see the things that I teach and execute on using my executions, those entry details that I'm showing in my markups for Cable's channel, we have this week and next week, and then he'll have enough for him to have conversation with me in the videos. He has to learn some things first, otherwise it's going to be a lot of grunts. Like, you see that, son? Mm-hmm. Which isn't all that engaging. So you want to kind of like note any kind of anxiety you're feeling right now, or any kind of unwavering excitement about wanting to be in something right now. That's you, or not aware of what you're looking for. You're just trying to, like a dog. Like my wife, she takes the food bowls out. As soon as they hear the milk clinking together, they immediately drop everything and like, okay, I gotta get everyone here and get something. And that's usually what FOMO feels like for a trader that doesn't have a model, doesn't know what they're looking for. And just because these candlesticks are flicking up and down, there's no setup here yet. So you just have to sit still, let it come to you. One of the best exercises you can do for yourself is just physically sit still the first 30 minutes. Even if there is an ideal setup that you may identify or recognize, sit still. Don't do anything. Engage price after 10 o'clock. And do that for a few months. And just really take inventory on how you feel. Are you feeling impulsive? Are you feeling reckless? You think you want to gamble? Those are wonderful observations to discover about yourself early on before you start trading real money. Because those are the very characteristics that will undo you and prevent you from finding success. But not enough's been talked about. I mean, Mark Douglas' book and other people have touched very, very lightly on trade psychology and where catalysts for people to go until how you prevent it, what skill sets do you have to develop and muster before you end up in a situation where you have regret. And it's by journaling and tape reading. And anytime you feel impulsive or anxious that you're afraid you're going to miss something, take a screenshot of the chart. Take a screenshot of it and then annotate that with simple words like anxious, feeling reckless, feeling impulsive. And then at the end of the session, what would that be like for in this trading? Be noon your goal time. And then look and see what price did actually after that moment. And you'll see many times what you were fearful of that you were going to miss wasn't even in the chart at all. And it desensitizes your whole, like, this pursuit, I gotta catch something. It goes away after you've conditioned yourself to saying, I've been here before. It's just me wanting to do something. Even on a 15-second chart, which usually is very, very fluid for me. I can find a lot of setups on. It's still just, looks like a picket fence. But the neighbor doesn't take care of his yard. It's all tattered looking in here. I'd like to see it displaced lower here. Admittedly, I'd like to see that because we have now had a body come down below the breaker, which is this down close candle here. I'd prefer to see it start to make a move lower and work towards these lows here. Because if we can get between here, let me outline it. Because we can go between this low and the upper quadrant of the opening range gap, which is here. I'd like to see some kind of a move lower here, and then either on the 1-minute chart or the 15-second chart create a fair value gap to watch price trade up into, and then try to make a run into mid gap. That's all I would look for today. And then if it wants to close more of the gap or go higher, so be it. But when I'm looking at price and I want to kind of frame up a setup that I'm willing to sit and wait for, that's what I would be looking for today. I would not be interested in chasing it going higher. We have too much of a gap opening higher. They're building a huge premium, and we're taking it back to a weekly objective, which is that orange shaded box up here. All of that range is a weekly inversion fair value gap, and it's big. So I don't want to be up in here, trying to go long after we've opened with such a large gap opening. I'm much more comfortable waiting for it to price in whatever premium I want to put in price. I'm not willing basically to pay an exorbitant price for NASDAQ, especially on a day that there's no news until we get to Wednesday and Thursday. So that's a little bit better delivery. See how the bodies are like butted up at the bottom of it, and not just a wick. That's what I was saying about the breaker here. I didn't like that there because while it did go below it, when we have such a premium opening, meaning that this is where Friday settlement price is here, and the first print at 9:30, the opening bell, That's your first traded price. The difference between that is so large. It's already built in an expensive price. So I'm not willing to buy that. And I'm comfortable letting it go. Like anything else. You know, if it's not your price, you're not going to pay for it.
Order canceled.
You just wait a little while. Well, that's what trading should be like. Why pay more for something you can get cheaper later on with less risk, with better visibility? Right now, you're trading inside of just one event of where you opened up.
Order submitted.
So now think about what I was talking about earlier about the breaker. Because we had these two wicks down here. It didn't show any kind of displacement lower. It just reached down just a little bit below it. And because of that,
order
I was telling you, probably see one
submitted.
more drive above this into that weekly version fair value gap. And then we had this delivery here. This is a 1 minute chart. Okay. So it's nice to see it deliver that body. Now leaving these kind of wicks inside the inverted fair value gap, and if it runs below, that's a lot more meaningful. Meaning that this candlestick here, treat that same down close candle as I was looking at that initially here. I wanted to see how we behaved when price traded to its low. Now this is a point of interest for me at that candle's low, because we have what? We have the high here, this swing low, and we ran up into that weekly version fair value gap. We butted up against the bottom of it with that candlestick's body. Indecisive candle, body saying no, I'm not really interested. Open, wick into it here, and we're showing initial signs that it may want to drop. There's a gap in here. I'd like to see it get below that and show signatures of inversion on that, and how we drive under here. And it may not. I'm just saying that's what I'm observing. I get a lot of questions. What am I looking for? What am I waiting for? How do I frame the setup? What determines the setup? Most of which is how we open. If I'm trading morning session, how we open in relationship to the previous day's settlement price, which is 4:15 Eastern time, PM. And then the afternoon, I'm not so much concerned about the same things that the
Order filled.
morning session provides me. There's other things like I'm looking at how we trade in the afternoon lunch. I'm not so much concerned about the same things. I just turn my headphones on, sorry about that. You got that feedback on. I look for things to frame price runs that make sense. So since we gapped up here and have a large gap below us from Friday's close at 4:15, any movement below here sets the stage for a potential trade to half the gap. So the rules I live by is 70% of the time that half gap price level gets traded to and repriced to in the first 30 minutes of trade. 70% of the time is not 100% of the time. So because we have the economic calendar as we have this week, where Monday and Tuesdays come like blank, it doesn't have a whole lot of reason to do anything yet, except for building a big premium for PPI and CPI number to run against this. So in my mind, that's how I'm interpreting this, in case you're probably wondering what that is. Like, what do I think is going to happen this week? I think all of this is just,
Order
going against last
submitted.
week's big drop and going up into a logical level, which is that weekly inversion fair value gap. It's that orange shaded area. I'm watching this 15-second gap right here. It's also a breaker. So we have high, low, higher, high, inside the inversion fair value gap. The absence of anything on the calendar Monday and Tuesday forces me or forces a price action trader to demand that price be clean, versus I can engage with a little bit sloppier price action if there has been something released at like 8:30, or if it releases at 10 o'clock, some kind of economic news driver, some kind of report or something. It's basically like a smoke screen. That's why I call it an injection of volatility. It's an invitation for people to come to the watering hole. Okay, so we don't have that today. We don't have that tomorrow. So the best thing you can do as a trader, and put this in your journal as well, and you'll probably save yourself a whole lot of heartache and draw down and probably blown accounts. But the absence of anything on the counter, that means that you must absolutely see clean price action. Just because you have a high impact or medium impact news driver does not mean you're in a clean price action. You can have really wild back and forth price action. And if that's the case, then you don't trade that either. So it's a lot of knowing when not to do something. Because just because you walk in the kitchen and something smells good and you think that it's safe to touch that handle in that pot, you don't really know. And like a child, I've had this happen to me, and my children have done this too. They reach out and they touch something and they get burned. But they don't ever do that ever again. But you don't get that luxury sometimes in trading. Sometimes you can blow the account and you may not be able to trade again until you fix what was required to restore all that. So demanding clarity in what you're looking for the setups and just letting it go. Just let it go, which is what an adult perspective would be. I want to grab that pot and turn around so I can take a look and see what's inside this pot. An adult would say, where's that pot holder at? Let me grab that because I ain't trying to get burned here. And then I can find out what I want to see. What are they doing? They're deferring their interest being satisfied with protection. Well, in trading price action, when there's really nothing going on yet that is all that exciting, these are the things I do. I wait and I demand price. Give me what I would rather see. And that's unfortunately a skill set that wasn't there in the beginning for me. Like I was impulsive, reckless, and figuring I was going to miss everything.
Order filled. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order filled. Order canceled.
Didn't seem to snap the word about thinking, bro, I'm out your Yeti, and you're still drinking out of the water. I'm short on time. Okay? I had to hurry to get things set up. All right, so now think about what we've had so far this morning. Large range gap opening. That's this price here from previous day's opening. Previous day's settlement down on Friday. We had a short-term high formed here, a short-term high formed here, short-term high formed here, and once more up here. Whenever price is doing that, it's usually indicative of them engineering liquidity. Even though the moves aren't as pronounced as I prefer them to be, that could be very much what we're seeing here.
Order submitted.
By creating these little tiny short-term highs. Everybody
Order
wants to fill
submitted.
that. I mean, that's trading 101. If you know anything about trading the opening session, with a very few minutes of trading the gaps,
Order
they have
filled.
a magnetic effect on price action. But not all the time. Not all the time. They can stay open for days. It could leave that gap entirely open for days. Just because there's a gap doesn't mean it's 100% probability it's going to fill it. But what I like to see is if it's doing things like this where it creates highs and they keep taking those highs, but it's not really running aggressively and showing big amounts of price runs. It's just going enough to take out the previous highs. Just enough to take out the previous highs. So to me, when I see that stuff, I think that, okay, someone is taking the other side of that high being taken out. And when I see those types of things forming a price action, I start telling myself, if this is what I think it is, then it should start to show speed after taking the most recent swing high, which is this one here. We're a little bit deeper inside of that weekly inversion fair value gap. So I'm waiting to see, do I get that strong drop down? Because I don't want to sell into these highs here. Like I don't personally want to do that because they could just keep building this and building this and building this. And I don't think we're going to be here later in the week. Like I think it could be lower. So
Order submitted.
the absence of any kind of economic data Monday and Tuesday, and you had that big storm of volatility that's going to come with the PPI and CPI number, where like you can't safely trade them in advance because they're wild. Like they're immediate repricing and they're aggressive, and they can hurt you very, very, very bad. If you're offside on something like that, you're getting crushed, and there's no helping, there's no saving you. It's just you're done for. So it's better for that report to come out and then give a few minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and then see what's left for liquidity or inefficiency. Here, I think what they're doing is they're just retracing it against what we saw on Friday. I don't think we're going to see the entire range of Friday overtaken. There's a large pool of liquidity. Let's go into a daily chart. See these lows here? It's an election year. I think we're going to see a lot of volatility around the end of second half of October, and then obviously going into the rest of the year. But I don't see us going back over top of Friday's range. There's no reason to do that. But we can dig deeper into this weekly inversion fair value gap, which you see here. It's a separation between this candlestick low and this candlestick high. So it's just inside of this. After dropping a lot on Friday, it's reasonable to anticipate a retracement on Monday morning like that. It's reasonable to anticipate there's going to be a large range gap opening higher or premium gap opening. That's normal. That's a normal expectation for someone that's been studying and familiar with price action. But you have to be cautious because this is a lot of range just to get to the midpoint of that, which is here. So it can trade at 791. It could trade another 100 points higher. And I don't want to try to be aggressive and try to sell short because I think I'm seeing, oh, they ran buy stops and now it's going to reject lower. I got to see other things. And when I'm watching how prices are creating these short-term highs, I'm weighing out how does it deliver after it does it. Is it quickly trying to get away from it? Because if it's not, then it's probably going to keep pressing higher. And you don't want to try to sell short on a day where it's just, even though there's a large range gap opening and everybody wants to see the gap fill, like that's the natural tendency for people that want to trade or they trade. They want to see this gap fill in. They want to see that. But what if it doesn't? And you just keep trying to sell short. I've done that as a 20-year-old. I do a lot of that in the bond market when I was first trying to buy and trade it. Caught that mute button just in time. Had to sneeze, sorry about that. So one of the best things you can learn how to do, Caleb, is to just sit still. Learn to just be very, very still. Don't try to rush to do something. You make more money doing little or less, and you certainly keep profits longer by doing less. Doesn't sound like it should be like that, but that's exactly what it is. That's the truth. Okay, I like what we're seeing here. So we had this high, take out that one, and this high here failed. We broke lower below here, and then we're seeing the bodies even on the 15-second chart respect the lower portion of that inversion fair value gap. So that takes my attention back into the 1-minute chart. Learning to manage the fear of missing out is like, it's hard, folks. Like, it's hard. There's really no way around it that makes it easier or faster. You just got to sit out here and watch price action. And even if you can't watch it live, you pay for. Like I use Camtasia.
Order filled.
I've used them since 2012 when I first started making videos. I think it's an easy program to use. And if you want to record price action, I mean, obviously while I'm live streaming, you can look at what I'm showing here. But eventually you're going to want to do this on your own and have a log of your own charts. I'm watching the wick here. The midpoint of that. I'm watching if there's any sensitivity around that. The recording of the key time frames that you want to watch, having that information when you come home from work, or if you can't be awake, like when I'm doing the live streams, but you want to still learn how to do this, there's nothing better than watching the actual candlesticks paint and create the full range, like every fluctuation of every single price tick. You need to see that. You cannot, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I know some of you just love that market replay. That market replay is like a mirror, meaning that when you look in the mirror and you look at yourself, you think you see what everyone else sees. We don't see that. We see the, and then when you see a reflection of your reflection in a mirror, that means the actual perspective that everyone around you sees. It's a little shocking all of a sudden you discover
order
one mirror is a little
filled.
bit lower or higher than the other. It's like, what is going on here? But that's how everyone's always saw you. But you see yourself in the mirror as
Order submitted.
Image. Well, market replay is the same thing.
Order
You're looking at
submitted.
price with only 2 fluctuations. Watch and see when you look at TradingView's market replay. It shows you 1 tick and then boom, it's settlement. 1 tick and boom, it's settlement. So it's too wooden, it's too stilted. It's not going to give you the same experience, which is necessary. Because if you train yourself to look at these very, very static candlestick formations that are seen by watching it go through market replay, it gives you a false sense of security, and you don't have the ability to see when candles are going up and down, up and down. And every time it looks like it's finished, you can make a bigger portion of the candle, and it does. So you don't have that effect in market replay. So the best thing you can do is record your charts with live price feed. It's a little bit of investment, and I know some people are like, I can't afford that. Then you can't trade. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but that's just the way it is. Then you can't trade because you can't afford to get the resources and tools. Don't hate me or anyone else that tells you that you're not going to be equipped to do it. I would want to be told that, but you're going to have to avail yourself certain resources before you do it. If you can't, then why are you trying to risk money? And what kind of money are we talking about? Because you can't pay for the resources. When you're scraping by just to get the funded account challenges paid for it and just hoping on winning a period you're going to be profitable, you're already starting the game off wrong. Like you're building it up to something that's going to have to be an Olympic feat, and then you're wondering why you're struggling. That's why you're rushing. You're feeling FOMO. I have to do something because I need this to work. I can't afford to trade.
Order
that's really what you're saying.
filled.
So if you can't afford to trade, then you can't afford success. That's what you're saying. You don't want to either do something to afford the resources and the time invested in learning how to do it correctly versus someone that is willing to do that. That's what makes it hard, especially as an educator, as a mentor, because students want to hear, you're going to be successful and don't take no for an answer. Sometimes it's going to be no for a lot of you. and it's going to be outside my capability to assist you or yours for the time being. Doesn't mean it's forever. But some people in other countries just don't have the resources to do it. And I don't always have an answer for them. And they're always seeking somebody else that's going to promise them that, and then they'll find that it's not happening for them. That's unfortunately the reality of this stuff. So anyway, what I was saying earlier, as we were breaking down here, and we were working off of this, I wanted to go back to that 1 minute chart, and I wanted to see how we were going to use this camera that high, that low here. Didn't even get down to it. So we weren't even get down to the body. That can't even make an attempt to go below. We do have cell side building. Believe relative equal lows here, here, large liquidity resting below here. But now imagine if you were trying to sell short, thinking that, okay, it's taking the stops. Now it's really taking the stops. But that gap, it's got to fill it. I hurt myself a lot doing that. Eventually you learn that this is not something I am not willing to buy it. This thing can go up to 18,900 today. I don't care. I'm not willing to pay that price, because if I pay that price, am I going to be comfortable holding that position? I'm not going to be comfortable holding that position, because it goes against the very principle that I trade on. I have to buy discount. This is an expensive premium price in an environment that is being manipulated because we have two big impactful news drivers, the PPI and the CPI number. And for a new student hearing that, it sounds like, well, you're just making excuses because you can't buy. I can tell you where it created the setups, and you can see them yourself. I'm not willing to take that trade. And I get a lot of that question a lot. Like, how do you filter out the times where you want to be a buyer or seller when prices is doing certain things? Like, for instance, it opens and just keeps inching a little higher. I'm not willing to take that. But I'm willing to wait for the ones that work, that yield $100,000 and selling short on the 1 minute high today and trading all the way down to a deep discount. That's the stuff I'm willing to wait for. I'm waiting for very surgical, precise things to align. And if they're not there, I'm not here to try to do something for the sake of impressing every live stream. Like that's not. I'm teaching my son. This is not a. I'm going to show you how smart I am. That's not what that is. The trade executions videos. That's what they're for that. That's what that's for. But we're in here watching price action, and I'm teaching. I'm trying to teach you how to manage yourself, manage your expectations, and fear of missing moves. There's nothing to fear. There's literally nothing to fear. There's no regret about missing any kind of move. If it doesn't make sense, if it's too expensive, why buy it? If it doesn't make sense and it's too cheap, why sell short? It's very simple logic. It's not complicated, but that's what I live by. I live by that principle. And anyone else out there could be taking trades, and I'm sure I have students in here. I have people probably on the other end of what I teach that's outside of what I teach, basically, and they may be doing something else. But you didn't see them take $100,000 last Friday. You may go see them repeat as much as they want to say so in the comment section. I was on Twitter, not one of them said, here's where I'm going to do it. It didn't happen. A lot of hush on Twitter. Patrick Whelan was on when talking. You want that engagement. How you doing, Pat? Hope Hawaii is lovely today. Is there a time at which I would say, I'm not interested, I'm not taking any trades, given the current, like the way it is right here? We had a large gap opening, and it's just digging into that weekly inversion fair value gap. 11 o'clock, 11:15, I would usually pull the plug if I don't see something that makes sense where it starts to break down. Because my interest is this. I only need it to get into this area here. I don't even need it to get down to the gap. I don't need that. Because I'm certain that if we can get below this low here, it will give me a fair value gap. It'll give me a bearish overblock. It'll give me a small bearish breaker. It'll give me a institutional overflow entry drill. Something that I can key off of, either on a 1 minute chart or a 15-second chart. And that difference between this candle's low to 3/4 or half of the distance between the upper quadrant and lower quadrant of that opening range gap. That's what I'm sitting comfortably waiting for. And if it keeps going higher away from me, fine. I don't care. I'm not losing any money. I don't have any anxiety. I have zero anxiety. My pulse is literally probably 60 beats or lower. I have no sense of urgency at all. None. And your trading needs to be like that. If you're watching price, or if you're trading and you're hearing yourself, or you're feeling yourself, a lot of sympathetic sigh, you're doing all that. What you're doing, that's your body's involuntary response to stress. And when you want to bring yourself down real quick, if you're feeling stressed, find a way to find yourself into a yawn. And if you're not physically doing a yawn, pantomime one as best you can. Stretch your arms out and do a yawn. What that does, it immediately resets your nervous system. Perfect example. I see all the time with dogs. If you have a dog, watch them now. Let me teach you something here. I'd like to see it break down here. Now, this turn, I'm gonna see it. We can get through that, and then if it does, we'll watch and see if we can get into here. Because this is the area where I'm hunting. I don't care about being all the way up in here. It's not necessary. But if you have a dog, and the dog goes to its bed or wherever it wants to rest, watch it. It'll lay down.
Order filled.
And it will always do this. Every single time, the dog will do this. It'll go. And it's 3-4 seconds to sleep immediately. What's it doing? It's resetting its nervous system. It doesn't know it wants to do it. It's just been created by God to do that. It's designed to do that. Well, when we're tired, what are we doing? We're forcing ourselves to stay awake. And then what is our body doing as a response to that? You yawn. Just that, I already feel even more relaxed. If you don't believe me, try it. If you're having anxiety, if you feel like you're missing something, you're having FOMO, stretch yourself, think about how good it feels to yawn. It's very relaxing and satisfying. But what's actually happening is your vagus nerve is being stimulated, which is a nerve that runs down from your brain behind your ear, down inside your neck, and it lays literally like a web across all your major organs. So when you're stressed, it affects all your major organs. And that's why you feel terrible when you're in an anxiety attack or panic, and then you start feeling body symptoms. That cortisol, which is the chemical that's released after adrenaline, is in your bloodstream. And the whole time, if you don't have coping mechanisms to counteract that, you're not going to trade with a clear mind. You're not going to be able to manage your emotions. You're not going to be able to manage the physiological stress that you're placing on yourself. And if you continue to stay in that, you will eventually have heart attacks. You'll have strokes. You'll have things that are going to make you physically
submitted. Ill. Order filled. So, order
you have
submitted.
To relax. Take a deep breath. And then when you think your lungs are completely full, try to suck in a little bit more air. So it's like...
Order submitted. Order canceled. Order submitted.
At least twice the amount of time that you breathe in slowly, your exhale has to be twice as long.
Order submitted. Order filled.
But that will immediately reset your nervous system and cancel out your anxiety attack. When I was having bouts with high blood pressure, that was a physiological response to having a vertigo attack. I only had one attack of it, but I was thinking, am I stroking out? Because my dad had strokes, his father died of a stroke. heart disease in my family and diabetes in my family. My blood sugar is fine. My blood work is perfect. My heart rate is like an athlete. My blood pressure, when I was contemplating, I was going through something that was leading to that. My blood pressure was skyrocketing high, like dangerous levels. But then I remembered that, okay, if I go to the emergency room and they do all the checks and balances on me, and everything is as it should be, CAT scans, EKGs, they did everything, they did all the work. And literally the nurse says, I've never seen anybody with blood work that's perfect. And you're 52? I said, I will be 52. But that's what I needed to hear. And I didn't know what I was having was a vertigo attack. And I expected that to happen again, is what that was. So I was living in anxiety, expecting that next vertigo attack that never came. But I've learned how to now manage it should I have another episode of it. My mom had one of them when she was younger and never had another. But it happened after me doing my inversion table. I did multiple sessions of going inverted. And I think I probably released one of those calcium deposits on your everybody has. And that's what caused it. So I haven't inverted myself since then. And hopefully, because I won't
Order
have any
submitted.
I'm watching the breaker here. The high, the low, and the high.
Order filled.
The anxiety of wondering, am I feeling the effects of being older? And is my body really, because I wore my body down a lot with stress as a younger man. And that stuff has a residual effect that comes and pays dividends later on. So I'm teaching this to you now because you may not be thinking of it. It's something you need to worry about, but you do. And by being able to reset instantly, God's given us the ability to immediately reset our nervous system. And once I started applying all that again, my blood pressure would be 176, 180 over 120. And then 5-minute breathing of slow inhales. When you feel your inhales at its fullest capacity, then try sucking a little bit more in and hold it 4 seconds and then release it. It has to be at least twice as long as it took you to inhale. And it's not easy to do. It feels like you ain't breathing enough, but you really are. All right, we're digging down into that low now. And if you take your time when your exhales are slower than your inhales, you're activating the side of your nervous system that allows you to relax. It's real easy for a human being to activate its fight or flight. Stress, someone comes up, you think they're going to punch you, or if you get hit, you have an accident, something scary happens to you, immediately your pulse goes up, you get an adrenaline injection, and the Creator gave us that ability to do a fight or flight, run away or fight. Your senses are heightened because of the adrenaline. You're ready to use more strength in your reserves in your muscles than you usually call for. So it's so easy to get in that state. And if you live in that state as a trader, there's constantly just trying to chase something that you don't put the work in, trying to make a model, try to discipline yourself. You will condition yourself to always go into that fight or flight feeling, that sensation of, I'm in an emergency, and you're not. You're tricking yourself, telling yourself you're always in an emergency.
Order submitted.
You're always stressed out. But that goes away instantaneously.
Order
once you understand how
canceled.
to control your breath, and your breath controls your pulse, and your pulse controls adrenaline and cortisol. If cortisol releases in your body, you got about 20 to 30 minutes before that stuff burns off. You'll have fidgetiness, you'll have nervousness and shakes. Maybe you'll feel like you're sick to your stomach, and you just don't know what to do. You're going to pass out. All these symptoms are a response to cortisol being in your body. But anxiousness starts with the adrenaline. And the way you avoid having that ever occur in your trading is having a model, knowing what are you looking for? What are you waiting for? If you don't know what you're waiting for a jump scare. Remember the big trend that you see on YouTube, all these jump scare videos?
Submitted.
My kids love them. And I thought I said, you love it right now, but when you get into the real world and you're expecting the things that happen in this world to be smooth, and you have flat tires, a breakup in a relationship, a health scare, you won't appreciate those things. It's a carnival ride right now. But in trading, you don't want a carnival ride. You want it to be boring, absolutely boring. I'm watching the 15-second. If everybody got here, I'm like 6 day heavy and all that. But you have the ability to reset your nervous system and it cancels out any anxiety. Because you have to first stop the pumping of the adrenaline, and you have to stop the cortisol release in your bloodstream. Cortisol is your stress hormone. You keep pumping that into your body every single trading day, you're going to have heart disease, you're going to have hardening of the arteries, because when cortisol is released in your bloodstream, the way your body repairs it is it lays down cholesterol inside your arteries and your blood vessels. And if you keep doing that, and on top of that, you eat unhealthy Chipotle, you eat all this fast food garbage, you don't eat clean, you are going to have health deteriorate. And you want to be able to sit here comfortably and calmly, not worrying about what you should be doing, because you should already know what you're doing. Waiting for a setup that's based on logic that you've worked on and framed without any necessity about being right.
Order
being right
submitted.
is not what my goal is. I'm not teaching you to be right. I said, I saw something on Twitter give this real long, bloated explanation or expose about what they think about I'm teaching or how I trade or how I try to cultivate the mindsets of my students. I'm not teaching you to be right. In fact, I've said the opposite. It's not important about being right. It's important to control yourself, and it's important to know what your model is. Know it in a written form. Know what it looks like graphically, like a diagram. What does it look like in price action? Draw it out. If you can't draw it out, then you don't know what it is. You can't recognize it. And it may not look exactly like it would in price action, but to someone that trades, we would understand exactly what that is. But someone that's not a trader wouldn't understand what you're drawing. But controlling your breath and controlling your thoughts, if you're constantly telling yourself, I'm going to miss a move, oh man, I'm losing all the time, this isn't worth it, why not put myself through this? You're basically telling yourself you're in an emergency. And why are you surprised when you have adrenaline dumping you, and you have cortisol releasing you, and then you start feeling physical symptoms of a full-blown panic attack? Trust me, if you've never had a panic attack, it's a very scary feeling. But as soon as you know that it's just that, and it's not something like a medical emergency, you can immediately turn it off. And you have the easiest way to stop it is slow your breath. Your exhales have to be at least twice the length and time that your inhales are. Slow it down. You can do things like box breathing. The best thing I do for me, and box breathing doesn't work for everybody, but I usually do a 4 to 5 second slow inhale, and then when I feel like I have my lungs at full capacity, I do that one little sniff to get the last piece of empty space in my lungs, and I hold it for 4 seconds. And when you first do it 3 times, there you go. That's what I'm looking for right there. Now, we can watch below this low. I'm going to change that to a little one. I can see it over here on the 2 different time frames. So this line here, this blue line, is this line here on the 15-second chart over here.
Order.
And this is the upper quadrant of the opening range gap. That's this over here on the 1 minute chart. See that? It is good. This is good information. There's no book out here for this stuff. They're not going to tie together trading and how to manage yourself. That's why I said it. There's no good trade psychology book out there. As much as everybody loves Mark Douglas' book, it's good for what it is, but it doesn't do it for you really. Not really. Not, it didn't do it for me. I say that. I think it's a more fair statement for me to say it that way.
Order canceled.
I'm going to take the mid gap here. But stress and anxiety, you can turn it off immediately. Boom, just like that. And it starts by controlling your breath and your thoughts. While you're slowing your breath down, you're thinking positive. You're reminding yourself there's no emergency. Nothing's forcing you to take a trade today. You don't have to take a trade today. You don't have to do that. You don't have to trade every fluctuation. You don't have to do that. But you're telling yourself you do. You know, so I would really like to see if it can touch that 604.750, or it doesn't have to touch it, but if you notice that same 604.750 has a little gap in there on the 15-second chart, I'd like to see it bump this candlestick high right here on that one, just to hit that, and then see if we can roll over from that.
Order submitted.
The effects of doing things that you don't fully understand how to do is a scary thing. And then we add to it that the embarrassment of not being right, or losing money if you're wrong, the peer pressure of other people saying you're not good enough, you're not going to accept the trade, you guys can do it.
Order canceled.
All these things can compound in your mind, and it can create and foster a self-defeated mindset.
Order
It's really easy
submitted.
to talk yourself out of a good thing and into a scary situation that really isn't scary, but you convince
Order
yourself that it is.
submitted.
And that heaviness of fear and anxiety comes over top of you. And nobody, as good as I am, I can't function if I lose my train of thought. If I get stressed out, perfect example, 9/11. I was stuck in a huge position in the S&P. And I was teaching an individual how to trade through internet relay chat. His name was George Lux. And he's a photographer. He lived in Virginia. I don't know if he still lives there now, but that's inversion. I'm sorry, that's institutional financial control right there on that chart. I came back from taking my son Cody to school. And when I came in, the TV had the airplane. First airplane hit it. I thought it was like a movie. And I wasn't upset by that because I thought I was watching a commercial. And then when I watched the second plane hit, that was my first real panic attack. I was like, where are my kids? Where's my life? Like I wanted everybody home immediately. And I couldn't get out of the market because they didn't open the market that day. And I was stressed about that. And it was just a terrible feeling. I've had smaller incidents, or I bet a lot of money, and it didn't perform like I wanted it to, or it moved, like I would try to trade ahead of the CPI numbers and the PPI numbers and FOMCs and non-farm payroll, and I would do very large bets, not fearful of it at all. But then as soon as it would be repriced against me, that's gone. The money's gone. And I'm dealing with that anxiety, that panic, and I would sit there and try to wrestle through it, and instead of saying, okay, it's happened, I'm not dead, it's just money, and I did it wrong. So there is no emergency. It's just like anything else. You go to a doctor and you get a shot, not the shot that everybody's probably regretting now, but the point is you get an injection of something, some kind of medicine you need. It only hurts for a second. But my wife, she has terrible anxiety around IVs and whatnot, and I have no anxiety over that stuff. The level of fear and FOMO that you're going to feel is going to be directly related to the expectations that you hold over yourself. If you want extremely high output and results, and you're not equipped with a model, you're not equipped to have a well-rounded model that you can anticipate seeing form, and you know when it usually forms, what time of day does it form, how does it behave in price action. If you don't have those things, your anxiety is going to be through the roof. And if you're good at hiding it, you're on social media, that's terrible too, because you're lying to yourself. The people online may not feel what you're feeling, but you're feeling it. So institutional ortho entry on the chart. Watch this little section right here. It's all part of this move here. Let's see the second lower half of that. Keep price at bay. See if it stays heavy, and then we can see if it runs down into the mid gap. But if you want me to do a video, I can do a very short video on how to manage anxiety and stress while in trades or in trading. It's very, very useful information. I don't have another person I can point to and say, go watch this guy or gal. It's a collection of things. I learned things from a woman named Lucinda Bassett, Attacking Anxiety. I bought her whole course. It was kind of expensive back in the day, but you can read her book. You can go to the library actually and get it. I had to pay for it. But the information and the coping skills I learned in that book helped me know that there was a way out of living with it. But when you start putting yourself in high stressful conditions like trading, it's bound to happen. And you may not even realize that it's anxiety. You just feel overwhelmed. And it's terrifying the first few times it happens. The very first time you feel like you're dying. And then the second time you feel like this is going to be worse than the other time it happened. And that feeds that whole experience and makes it worse. And it's a terrible thing to live with it. I lived with it for a long time and developed into agoraphobia. I was afraid to have any stimuli around me. It made me close up. And it caused my relationship as a father and a husband. It was horrible. Very, very horrible. Watching that 15-second chart, institutional entry drill here. And the gap is down here. And again, that's this level. It's half the gap that set up this move from Friday's settlement price and the opening up here. You see how we're using that upper quadrant level there? See how fair gap here, closed in, half the gap, worked it here, and went lower. You hear any kind of anxiety in me describing it? Any sense of dependency, like I have to be right? No. It's the same old stuff all the time, every single day. And when you realize that these things can repeat, you know how to wait for the setups to form and control yourself. You don't try to predict the euphoric moment of when it gets to your target. You just let it do what it's going to do. Because until the trade closes in your favor, you're not profitable. You're not technically quote unquote right.
Order
so
filled.
Trying to live in that moment where you're watching a level that you're hoping it gets to, try not to live in that moment ahead of its delivery. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to escape the uncomfortable uncertainty of, is it really going to go where I want it to go? You have to be indifferent to it. You got to just relax and let it go where it's going to go. That way, if it's going to give indications that it's not going to go, you're going to be more receptive to it. You'll be able to see that versus hoping and praying and panic and just, it's torment is what it is. When you're in a winning trade and you don't have a model, that's torment. And if you've ever had a time where you made money, either trading real money or a demo account or a funded account challenge or funded account, any degree of where your outcome is being measured for the basis of being right or wrong with monetary reward or clout associated to it, you have a vested interest in being right at the end of it. And your target, your take profit, is that report card. It's the measurement of you being correct. And if you hold your trades to that measurement every single time while you're in them versus is the market doing everything that would allow me to trust this continuing? That's what you're constantly feeding yourself. Is it doing everything that is indicating that it would still be okay despite it not going as quickly as I would like to see it go to? Because that's a part of development that's very, very hard to articulate as a teacher, is letting the trade pan out and not wrestling with it, not trying to force, I wish it would just let me get my target so I can get away from this. I'm worn out because you don't know how to manage yourself. You're discovering that you aren't equipped to be trading with the outcome being so impactful. It takes money from you if you're wrong. But you don't know what it feels like to be on a trade where you're actually winning because you don't know why the trade's winning. And you're afraid to get out of it, and you're afraid that if you get out at your take profit, what if it goes more? Or what if it goes against me right now and I could close it when I'm up $3,000 or whatever the amount would be? So when you have these things going through your mind, they're all distractions. That's exactly what a neophyte is experiencing. A neophyte is always worried about the things that they shouldn't be worried about, instead of focusing on the things that they should be, which is watching price. Is it behaving? Is it supporting the underlying narrative that puts you into the trade? Now, if you start at square one where you don't have a model, you just impulsively chase price, then you shouldn't be surprised if you have anxiety. You shouldn't be surprised if you're uncomfortable being in the trade because you don't know what you're looking for. You don't know what you're waiting for. You're not looking for anything that you've measured in the past. So why should you have any surprise about why you're feeling uncertainty that's now turned into an adrenaline release and then now cortisol release and you're in full-blown panic, which paralyzes you? You ever have that, it's called the gambler's numbness. You've lost a lot of money. You're at the verge of blowing your account. You're blowing your funded account, or you just did. And if you had more money in the account, you'd still trade again and not feel anything. That's a terrible experience to be in because you completely unplugged. The rational thinking part of you is just like, you're almost like being catatonic. You're just pushing the button. You don't care what the outcome is. You just feel like you have to push the button. That's insanity as a trader. I've experienced that a lot as a 20-year-old. I was in shell shock when I lost lots of money that I didn't have. I didn't have that kind of money. I had to work very hard to get these things scraped up to put into those accounts. And when I blew them, it was bad. It was really bad. And I didn't have the skills I have now. I don't have the ability to wrestle into subjection the intrusive thoughts, the what if thinking. What if it does this and what if it does that? If you don't have your model defined and you don't know what makes that trade setup viable, why should it form where you expect it to go in and take a trade? Why should it even be doing any of that stuff? If you don't have experience collecting that information, that data, by watching old price moves that have already completed, getting a large collection of that, Caleb. And that's what we're doing when we do these end of the day observations. I'm annotating the chart with what I see and what I've watched with real-time price action. These are things that I was measuring and looking at as price was delivering. Because that's how I read price. I want you as my son to learn how to do it that way. Now you're going to have your own little things in all the things I'm annotating, and your eyes are going to jump to something that says, that's the setup that I feel I can see it easy. Like I can see it forming. I can see it developing all the time, and it has these same characteristics that repeat over and over again. When you have that, that's an epiphany. That's an aha moment. I see something I've never saw there before. And it's exciting. And whatever that is for any of you listening, that's where you first start. You start there. We're inside that little inefficiency here. I like to see not inversion. I like to see it create a institutional orthoentry, which is a partial fill that and then dump down into the mid gap. It's very liberating when you have number one control of yourself, and that is going to be acquired by you having a model that you've seen in old moves that repeats over and over and over again. Now, it may not form every single day for you. You may not be able to find it every single day. But if it happens 3 times, 4 times a week, that's a wonderful model. But if you work in these lower time frames, which is kind of like what I'm forcing Caleb's perspective today with, is that there's lots of opportunities and you need not chase price. You need not chase the expensive premium pricing that they are throwing to the public. They're literally just throwing slop out there into the open mouths of just retail traders to simply say, it's probably keep going up, bro. Like, I gotta buy it. I'm not trying to do that. I don't want to do that. It doesn't make any sense for me to pay extra money for something I can get cheaper. And I only have that understanding is because I've been doing this for a very long time. I've collected lots of charts. I've annotated charts, and I did lots of back testing. I did lots of forward walk testing and tape reading without pushing any buttons. And then I did demoing paper trading for a long, long time, which was back in the day, where I would just simply write down, I got in hypothetically at this price on a piece of graph paper, and then where the high side was, I would do what my drawdown would be, and then what my profit target would be, how long it took me to do that. And I conditioned myself that way. You have all these resources of doing demo trading. I didn't have that when I first came up. Everything was antiquated and archaic, and everything was written down and scribbled in. And you have the dynamic privileges, really, that people like myself, where we would hand draw our charts. Like that was our only alternative until they came up with things like super charts and metastock and things like that. Everybody did it one way, which was they made their own charts. They drew it out on graph paper, or they subscribed to services like price charts or CRV chart, and they gave you a chart book that had some of the data, but then you're responsible to do the rest all by yourself every single day. And there you go, your half gap. So is it happening in the first 30 minutes? No, but it did trade down to the mid gap. Did it give a fair value gap in institutional orthoentry drill, some kind of premium? Some kind of premium array to get short between this low and the upper quadrant to get down to here? Yes, institutional orthoentry drill there, delivered. You're never going to be short of supply of setups once you know what you're doing, folks. There's zero reason for you to have any anxiety about missing moves, feeling anxious about chasing price. When it was doing all these things up here, everything was just a story time. Just sit back and let it tell you what it's doing. Relax. Let it really prove that it wants to take a run below the initial lows formed here. Now think about that. How can I explain what I just did here in a book? I can't. That's why I'm teaching a lot of lessons like this that cannot be articulated in a book. There's no way that I could just give you what I just gave you here in a book and you get it. You can't. You have to watch the candlesticks paint. You got to see what it's doing. On a 15-second chart. Remember? I told you I was watching this up in here. There's inefficiency, and halfway part of that right there. That's this. And we want to see it roll over and get heavy. Go back. It's in a live stream, folks. I was not trying to be long today. And it's boring to me. And that's not a brag. That's just the facts. It's boring to me. I can sit out here every single day and call every major move, every single one of them. But not every single one of those moves are a trade that I want to put money on. I don't want to trade just for the sake of trading. That's maturity. That's a mindset that you should aspire to have. That means you have control of yourself. You have a measure of self-control that's alien to 99% of every trader, even those that have been trading profit for a long time. Because if you're a successful trader, say you can take down pretty big paydays. The likelihood of you being a junkie and you're all hopped up on goofballs because you know you can take big money. You can take it. So you're like a big game hunter. You don't need to kill that animal. You don't need to go over there and take down an elephant to eat it. You're not starving. You just want to do it because you're hopped up on goofballs because you're willing to kill something like that. Because you're a psychopath. You want to do those types of things. In my opinion, you're a murderer and you're satisfying that desire to do those types of things. But you probably still wrestle with this impulsiveness that you want to get fixed. Maybe you have lots of money. Maybe you don't need to trade ever again. Like me, I don't never, ever need to take a trade again, ever. Money's not an issue for me. But I love doing this. I love it my entire life. And now because my son's interested, I'm keyed up. I'm ready to do it, clearly, because I want my son to do well. But it's very hard to understand how to control yourself. Because in the beginning, you might look at me You might look at other people and whether they're taking trades live in front of you, calling signals that work, or they have broker statements, or they won competitions, whatever the catalyst may be that causes you to have faith in this individual, whatever that is, you don't have blind faith, and that's good. That's good. Skepticism is absolutely crucial. Have it with me and have it with everyone else. Because if you just blindly follow the logic of anybody that spouts out their mouth, and you've never tested it, never back tested it, never looked and investigated the claims of what this information should or should not do, you're not really informed, and you're just basically blindly following either what everybody else says, well, this is what you should do because I seen him do this, I seen her do that. Did you ever see it? Did you ever sit through a full live stream where I've explained the logic, why it shouldn't do these things, and why I'm not interested in this, and what I'm waiting for, and then watch it pan out like today again? I do this every single time. But because you want a signal, because you're new, you just want to see, I want to see ICT take a trade. I want to see this. If there's nothing for me to take a trade on, I'm not taking a trade. Period. If there's something in the price action that I want to call attention to for the purpose of teaching my son, that's what I'm here primarily for. But everything that's outlined to you happened in real time right in front of you, and you can't escape it. And it's for your edification, Caleb. It's for you to understand that are you going into this to be in control of yourself, or are you going to let the ebb and flow of what the market's take and give to you dictate how you're going to behave, how you're going to think? Because if you're going to let them do that, you're going to be in a sea that is nothing but storms and waves, and you're never going to be at peace. That means you're never making enough money, you're not taking enough trades, you're not risking enough, because you're constantly doing what? You're trying to satisfy that itch that never is quenched. Contrast that with, I am going to wait for my setup that looks like this, and it forms around this basis. What am I talking about when I say that? Well, what I explained to you today, we have a very large range gap opening. I'm already past my time. I'm going to see if I can get done by 11 o'clock. I also know, just let me take a moment to say this, and I appreciate all of you that have left comments. Initially, I thought you were just complaining to me, saying the videos are too long, blah, 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 blah. I understand now why the specific requirements for some of you that the videos not be too long. And plus, Caleb said this is a lot that, like, he comes home from work, he doesn't have the ability to go through all of them each day, so he's lagging behind. So because he said so, that's why I'm pulling back the time. Also, in addition to, I wasn't aware that YouTube doesn't do closed captions after the video goes over like 3 hours or something to that effect. So I'm going to try to be diligent about keeping them at 90 minutes or less. And you're welcome for that. I wasn't aware. Okay, if I would have known that the closed caption feature was being impeded because of the length of the video, I would have stopped the stream and started another one. It still would have been long, but I would have stopped it. So it's not that I'm trying to make it harder for all of you that are in other countries. I apologize. It was not something that's intended. But I'm aware of what it's doing and what it can't do, and it's a limitation that I'm going to have to operate in. So if we're limiting it to being done by 11 o'clock ICT, then it should answer that call. So, but today I described to you that we had a very large opening range gap here, which you have to see it with RTH, which is regular trading hours. I mean, I would have paid money for a session like today. Like, you have no idea the stuff I put myself through. It was ridiculous. But I didn't have any choice. Like, there was nobody else out there that had this information, or if they did, they weren't teaching it, right? So, and I appreciate the folks that take the time to write a comment and say, I don't have to be doing this, and I'm sharing it. I really appreciate that, because the entitlement level today is off the chain, and it's disgusting to see how, dude, you talk too much, get to the point. Like, you're getting something you never will learn before. And I'm making millionaires with this information. They're using the same logic, and you're coming in the comment section complaining about how you want better and faster and differently. Go somewhere else. But this is the opening range gap. And since we opened up here, I told you we were going to work inside that weekly inversion fair value gap. And you don't want to try to pick the highs, because there was a lot of range where it could have went up into mid part of that weekly inversion fair value gap, which is essentially around here. So you got to let it prove to you that it's done enough and break down. So we were watching this low here. It did so. And I gave you the framework about how this gap below this low here, I wanted to see a premium array form between this low and this upper quadrant. Between this low area right in here, that's where my setup would form. My PD array would form in this area right here. Institutional order flow entry drill. Over here, it breaks lower in that area. I'll back up in here. Boom. And I told you when we were right there. Go watch the live stream during the 10:30-ish to 10:36 time. I said, I'm watching this right here. When I do that, whenever I say when I'm watching something during the live streams, that's a wonderful opportunity for you either watching live or when you watch the old recording. Stop and pause the video and screenshot that. Think about what you see in price, what it might do after that moment, Caleb. And you've got one of the best learning opportunities, because it's like, okay, freeze frame, boom. Why is he interested? What should it do? And then, like I said, at that time, I said, we want to see it roll over from there and stay heavy and work towards that mid gap. Does it do it? Look at the bodies. Look at the bodies, how it behaved inside that little inversion fair value. I'm sorry, I'm not saying inversion fair value. Let's see a little line balance there. We got to make sure we keep that there as well. There's that halfway point. The price is 18,583.75. What's that candlestick high right there? 8250, 84, 84.75. So 1 point, one handle above. That's only heat to have by watching that mid level of that sitting, and it rolls over. All live in front of you, explain to you the logic. That's where the setup's going to form. So tell me how you're going to do that with Wyckoff or supply and demand. You don't know when your setup's going to form. You have to wait for them. I know where my setup's going to form. I know what the algorithm's going to do, how it's going to book price. I know all those things. But I have to let it do its manipulation. I don't want to force myself to be in something. I told you, this is all building on premium. It's engineering liquidity. Every time it gives you high, someone's taking the other side of that when it stops being taken. So buy stops above this high are absorbed there. Shorts, smart money are selling that buy stop. And they're buying a breakout, retail. Who wants to be the other side of that? Smart money. They're selling to those buy stops here. And then above here, boom, they're selling short to those buy stops again. All of this is building on premium. And they're selling it to the public. I'm waiting for it to get down to here to give the setup to trade down to the mid gap. And there it is. Small little retracement.
Order
down,
filled.
So look at the lower quadrant. And then I'm going to close the stream out, okay, because I've overstayed my welcome. Here's the lower
Order
quadrant.
submitted.
Into that price level right here. But if you want to leave comment, I read every comment, even though you guys can't see them. I see them. Rude ones or people that are just stupid. I just make you invisible to me. You think you're leaving comments and you'll see your comment, but I can't see them. No one else can see them, obviously. But if you want to see a video, I can't promise I'll do it during the week. I might do it this coming weekend if you all have an interest in it. But if you want to learn how to manage your stress while in trading and how to keep yourself from having panic attacks, and also how to keep yourself focused so it prevents adrenaline effect or cortisol effect, these are all real things. And if you ever traded long enough, you felt you probably didn't understand it, but it's absolutely 100% controllable, and you can be like a Buddhist monk. You're impervious to it. You're completely devoid of all of that anxiety and what of thinking. And I could probably do it in a 30-minute video. So that's not a lot. It's like a lot of preparation mindset-wise and some breathing techniques and things to focus and how you are supposed to reset your nervous system. And it can be done instantaneously, like that. Like it's instantly corrected perfectly. And to me, in my opinion, I've been doing it for 32 years, and having gone through extreme anxiety, it is one of the most worthwhile investments in discovering skill sets that any trader should have in their repertoire, because you are going to feel stress. You're going to feel stress in the trade, or you're going to feel afterwards when you lost a lot of money. And if you focus on that stuff, it's going to mess you up, and you won't progress further efficiently and correctly. So if you, like I said, you want to have something like that, just give me a comment saying, please, lay it on me, and I'll get to it probably either Sunday or Saturday. Maybe I'll do an audio, kind of like a Shotgun Saturday on the YouTube channel, because it's basically me just talking about those coping skills and how to overcome anxiety and trading and all that. The real psychology behind it. That's really what it is. I flirted with the idea of having 5 books, 3 technical, one's a fiction about a trader that you may have heard, and then the 5th one was going to be. I flirted with the idea. I'm not sure. We'll see how the books are received by all of you. But the 5th one would be like a trade psychology book, like the nuts and bolts. Here's what matters most, and there it is. But I enjoyed the time with us together over the charts. Hopefully you learned something today. It's probably going to be one of the barn burner type lectures or whatever, but I promise you, once you start trading real money and you feel all the problems that I talked about here, FOMO, trying to chase price, losing money, and anxiety attacks and stress and all that stuff, you're going to appreciate this kind of video a whole lot more later on. In the beginning, when you haven't done anything to be stressed out, you just want to get to the point. The point is you don't know the point. That's the point. You don't even know what you're doing yet. And I'm trying to prepare your mind for that, Caleb. And until talk to you next time, be safe.
Order filled. Order filled. Order filled. Order filled. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order filled. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order filled. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order filled. Order submitted. Order filled. Order canceled. Order filled. Order canceled.